Thank you for coming. Before we go any further, if everyone would please pull out their cell phones and just ensure that they're either on silent or off for the service. Thank you for doing that. All right, and if you would now please turn to the front of your hymnal for the Unity Statement of Being and the 5 Unity Principles. There is one presence and one power in this church, in our lives, and in the universe. God, the good, the omnipotent. And the 5 Unity Principles. Number 1, God is absolute good, everywhere present. Number 2, God lives in us, therefore we are inherently good. Number 3, we are co-creators with God and create our experiences through our thoughts. Number 4, prayer is creative thinking that heightens our connection with God-mind. And number 5, it is not enough to simply know these principles. We must live the truth we know. If everyone would please stand and turn to page 2 in your hymnal for the Lord's Prayer. Reverend Caroline is a New Orleans native, a civil rights attorney, and a nationally recognized advocate whose work bridges social justice and spiritual healing. Caroline has dedicated her career to advance justice and dignity and amplifies the power of truth teachings to bring justice to fruition. Please welcome Reverend Caroline Durham.
Good morning. Good morning. And thank you for leading again. Hugh is said to be one of the first words of the word that God spoke. We think of the sound of home. So home is the word that we heard over and over in that prayer, in that meditation. And so we're going to flow with that space of meditation, and take a few minutes here to ground in. And so as you're comfortable, sit in a strong and yet relaxed pose. Those of you who've been with me before, feet on the floor, so we can ground into Mother Earth. If you have things in your hand that are comfortable, place them aside. And we close our eyes to close out the outer and go into the divine space within. And take a deep breath in. And release. And another breath in. And release. And a deeper breath. Holding it. Holding it. And exhale. And then simply allow your breath to go to its natural rhythm. Follow the sensation of the exhale coming from the lungs out through the mouth into the world. Follow the inhale through the nose, down the throat, expanding the lungs, flowing out into the blood circulation throughout your physical body. And just stay with that rhythm. Begin to feel the love that is in you. Perhaps it's at your heart. Perhaps when you hear the word love, it fills your being. And as you exhale that love into the world. A medicine for healing that you possess. And breathe in God's love that is ever present for you. And then begin to sense that you are in this space that is a space filled with love. That you are one with that power of love. And if there's a place in you that feels a little something special. Breathe love into that space. Allow the things that you've collected in this week, in this month, on this day, that are not yours to carry, to fall away with each breath. Disappearing into the nothingness from whence it came. Perhaps feel an expansion of ease in this moment. Take a deep breath in. God's love fills you. As you exhale, you fill the world with your divine spirit. If it's comfortable, begin to move your feet just a little. Feel the pull of the earth, Mother Earth's energy, holding you, drawing you in. And as you're ready, begin to gently move your body. Maybe strumming your fingers, a gentle sway side to side. A reconnection with this human body that holds your spiritual being. The place from which your spiritual being radiates out from. And when you're ready, if your eyes are closed, gently open them. Staying with the sensation that this is a room of love. That you're surrounded by beings of love. I'll say, Father, Mother God, we are so grateful for this moment. We're so grateful for the ways that you show up in our lives and see us and we see you. We're grateful for the teachings you've given us, for the reminders when we stumble that it is ever present. To know that we are here because you divinely placed each and every person in the world for good. And so it is. Amen. And thank you for the tap on the ear. I've been told that when I go into the meditation piece, I get really quiet, and here's what I'll say. That just gives you space to let it be yours. But thank you. So take a minute and look around the room. Y'all know I always love coming here. And truly, I am not the speaker today. I've got a couple of words to say. But this is a special day. I would say a precious day, but every day is precious, and we need to remember that. But it's a precious day because I will get to introduce my dear friend Danielle Metz. And I'll talk about her, and I'll try not to get choked up because she is a freedom fighter. She is a peace walker in the truest sense of those phrases. Today we titled Freedom Inside and Out. Nelson Mandela said, "For to be free is not merely to cast off one's chains, but to live in a way that respects and enhances the freedom of others." Remember, these teachings are not personal. They're communal. So freedom inside and out, where am I chained down inside myself? Where am I out in the world imprisoned? When is it that I've created cloudy eyes so that my inner and outer seeing are misaligned with divine knowing? When am I allowing the world to poison the air that I breathe, literally, spiritually, figuratively, cutting me off from my awareness of God's self? Remember, we are all divine creations of God. You are a God self. God is omnipresent. So God is in us, all of us, here, out in the world. So freedom inside and out, spiritual freedom. Freedom is defined in the material world as financial wealth, material possessions that evidence success or fame. And yet we could fill a week talking about the actions and experiences seen by people who have attained, quote, fame and fortune, and yet they're finding something missing. There's a reason we have a substance abuse problem in this world. There's a reason that Amazon thrives. We're trying to fill with material things that which is a spiritual emptiness. And I want to tell you today, it's not empty. It's there and it's filled with the love of God always. We have to get back in the space of seeing it. Meditation, the teachings, connecting with spiritualness. Now, don't get me wrong, there are people who've attained fame and fortune in the world and live in spiritual freedom. But the question is, the feeding, the nourishing of us into liberation, these are liberation teachings, comes through our ever-deepening in the awareness that God's omniscience and God's omnipresence is. Period. We could say that every day and be done. That could be the prayer, that could be the sermon, that could be the song. Are we swimming in the practices that nourish our knowingness of that? Are we listening and talking with God through prayer and meditation? Are we seeing the divine in each person we encounter in every moment? And seeing the divine when you look in the mirror every morning? That's probably my biggest challenge. We took a deep breath in. That was God's omnipresence in the air, in our beingness. Right here in the infinite within us, we get to look around and see God's omnipresence. I have days and moments and weeks where I can look around and fail to see God's presence. It's not that God has disappeared. It's that I'm misaligned. It's that I'm caught up in something, comparing mine, maybe comparing myself to others, negative self-talk, encounters with others who are misaligned that knock me down. Their lower vibration, their disalignment, their scales on their eyes, actually their yearning to be aligned pulls me down. And so when we pause and take a breath, breathing the breath of God, breathing into our God self, we have freedom. And what do I mean by breathing into our God self? That infiniteness, when we're in meditation in the morning, do you feel that you are limitlessness inside of yourself? A doctor can cut us open and only go so far, but God goes forever within us. It's present when we do the dishes. It's present when we're in traffic. It's present on the first of the month when the bills are due. It's present when a family member says something or does something from that V8 angle. You know what I'm talking about? Those of you who are old enough to remember the V8 commercials. They were not nourished like they needed to be, and when they were, they stood up. When we catch people like that, I had a boss once. And when she came into the office, we hid, basically. Because she came in like this. Boom, boom, boom. We get to say no to that and figure out how to be in touch. Allow them to be their V8. But what I can tell you is when I've been in my V8 is the people who aren't that brought me here. That help me stand right, that remind me of my God self. Nelson Mandela said, I knew that as well as I knew freedom as well as I knew I needed to be fed, that the oppressed must be liberated just as surely as the oppressor. A man who takes away another's freedom is a prisoner of hatred. He is locked behind the bars of prejudice and narrow-mindedness. This is the place to practice. We call them sacred friends because they give us the opportunity to dive deeper into our spiritual practices that they may be liberated too. There's so much chaos in the world today. In the city. I know I can get caught up by the whiplash creating events, and sometimes I do. And then click, I turn it off. A song, a gaze up to the sky, a drink of cool water, a breathe in, all of that is God, and it regrounds me from the chaos. All of those simple pieces, those simple steps, when we meditate, we close our eyes to close out the outer material world. And when I was preparing this, as I wrote that sentence, I remembered my grandmother closing her eyes to some nonsense I was doing as a child. Closing her eyes to let God take hold and be present, that in that moment she could respond from a place of grace. Jean-Paul Sartre says, freedom is what you do with what's been done to you. Sit with that. There are freedom fighters out there. We are freedom fighters out here now, all of us. And what are we going to do with what's been done to us? What are you feeding yourself? What are you consuming when you're outside of this building? What are your thoughts, your knowings? What words are you speaking? We know the power of thought and the power of words, y'all. Are you speaking freedom words? Are you thinking freedom thoughts? Are you manifesting freedom in all the ways? That can feel like a heavy lift, but that's because it's viewed from a material standpoint. What I'm saying is, are you using your God voice? Are you speaking from your divine creation? Freedom language. God flows, love flows, God is here. Do not let the static of the world not your focus or change your frequency. And it can sometimes, but here's the thing. We are always dialed in, and when we take that moment to pause, when we take that moment to breathe, when we take that moment, sometimes it's connecting with the other divine beings who are consciously doing the work too. It re-elevates and cosmically sends the knowingness. I can look in your eyes and my heart grows. That's God. Because it's the God in you radiating out. You don't have to say a word. And yet when you do, it's even better. And you will know the truth, and the truth will make you free. John 8:32. Look, that's Jesus talking to the people who have surrounded him to murder him. We'll talk about oppressors. We'll talk about how we respond to it, as Nelson Mandela said. He didn't draw a sword. Even with his tongue, he didn't draw a sword. He stayed grounded in the knowingness and the guidance that divine is giving. He knew that God was right there, in love. There is a freedom in the knowing, the heart-filled, soul-energizing embodying of that knowing. I think of the first time I stepped into a New Thought church. Woo! And every time I do again. So in the words of Stevie Wonder, love is in need of love today. Play that song today, y'all. Love is in need of love today. God is love. I've said that. Love is omnipresent. And sometimes the love that I am is in need of love. Can you feel that? Say it to yourself. Sometimes the love I am is in need of love. The love that you are is in need of love. The love, as Nelson Mandela spoke of it, the love of the oppressor is in need of love. That's why they come from pain. And I'm not saying go out and hug them right away. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying protect yourself, be grounded in who you were created to be, in your freedom. Radiate that. And there are ways that that in and of itself creates the freedom in them. So now I want to introduce and bring up a woman who is the embodiment of love, who exemplifies God's divine presence, who has it in her consciousness. And if we go back to that freedom is what you do with what's been done to you, y'all, let me tell you what. She's had some things done to her. And she stands tall and strong in freedom. And she doesn't want me to say these words because she's humble. Do justice, walk humbly. Embodied. Danielle Metz is a nationally recognized justice advocate, author, community health leader. She received executive clemency from President Barack Obama in 2016. She was the last person to put a signature on. She's dedicated her life to advancing second chances, to advancing health care access, freedom, and justice reform, freedom. Through her advocacy, she works to empower formerly incarcerated individuals and build stronger, healthy communities. She's a co-founder of the Rise Collective, who shows up strong today, y'all. A director of clemency for the National Association of Incarcerated and Formerly Incarcerated Women and Girls. A director for the FIP Clinic, formerly incarcerated people, bringing health sources, resources, education, and services to formerly incarcerated people. Freedom, freedom, freedom. And some of her life story is featured in the documentary Commuted. It's available online. It was sent out in a newsletter, and she's about to have a book published. A couple. One is entitled, Dear President Obama, The Women America Forgot. Born and raised in New Orleans, her steps bring love and peace and healing. And she is my friend, Danielle Metz.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me. I am honored to be here today. And when I was asked to speak, I asked myself, what am I going to speak about? So I called Caroline. I said, Caroline, what you want me to talk about? She said, anything you want to. And I said, okay. So when I thought about it, since the work that we do, I thought about freedom and liberation. And freedom and liberation, sometimes when you Google it, you'll say, you're not synonym for freedom, and you'll say liberation. So you know it's often used together, but it don't always mean the same thing. Freedom is being released from something. Liberation is what you do once you're released from it. A person can be free on the inside and still be in prison through shame, guilt, addiction, in the opinions of others. And a person could be physically confined, yet their spirit still remain hopeful. I know this because I lived it. I spent nearly 24 years incarcerated. And while prison took away my physical freedom, I refused to let it take away my hope and my faith. During those years, I discovered, long before I got released, that God was doing something inside of me before he even ever changed my circumstances. When President Obama granted my clemency, the prison gate opened. I walked out free, but my liberation did not begin that day. My liberation began when I stopped thinking I was the worst thing or the worst mistake that I ever did. I began to accept that God had a purpose for my life. And today, I don't stand here simply as somebody who has survived. I stand here as someone who has witnessed God's power and his greatness. And so I started this all for liberation and freedom. And as I prepared to come here today, I said, I'm going to be early today because I'm always late, 5 minutes, 10 minutes behind. Lo and behold, my cousin called, you ready? I said, oh yeah, I'm going to be there early, 10:15. As I get ready, Caroline and I have been to many churches around New Orleans. And I went to another church that she brought me to. And when I got there, I looked around and said, well, I'm early. I'm probably the first couple of people here. And I walked up there, I said, Caroline, Durham here? She said, no, she's not here. I said, why didn't I just press the thing and open it? Because she'd been told me the address a long time ago. I live right down the street on General Taylor in Biola. That's where I was born and raised. So as I began to ride around coming back this week, I was riding around and I didn't even realize that right here in my community, you have so many churches up and down St. Charles. I never noticed, but since I'm looking for this church, but I knew where it was. So Caroline called, she said, I'm checking on it. I said, girl, I'm 5 minutes away. I said, I went to the wrong church. She said, oh, you good. And when I came here, as I was riding, I thought about it and I said, you know, God is all over this place. He's all over, he's everywhere. And I didn't realize so many churches was up and down St. Charles Street till I was coming back. So as I began, I said, well, you know what? I said, because of liberation gave me a reason and a chance. The Bible reminds us that in Galatians, it is for freedom that Christ has set us free. Stand firm, then, and do not let yourself be burdened again by the yoke of slavery. That slavery isn't always a physical presence, a physical slavery. You know, sometimes it can be fear, bitterness, or sometimes believing that we are not enough. And as Caroline said, I don't like to boast about anything, but I'm always willing to boast about what the Lord has done for me. Because not only had I served 23 years, and a lot of times, I don't want to say it all the time, but God always reminds me. You have to let him know. I had 3 life sentences plus 20 years. And I don't know if you all are aware, but in federal system, life means life. There is no parole. Just July the 10th, 5,500 clemencies was denied by our president who was in office right now. And I think about those women and men every day. And so when you see me, you see God at his best because he's able. And not only that, he's able to do the impossible because for years and years and years and years and years, I never knew if I was ever going to get out of there. But I kept believing. And I knew that it was much bigger than me. I knew that God could do it. My mom came visit me and she gave me a little piece of napkin, a brown little piece of napkin when I was crying one time. And it was just one little brown paper towel. And she gave it to me and it was just a little dot. And she said, yeah. I said, what that's for? She said, that's all you need. Just faith of a mustard seed. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna take this and put it in my pants. And my mom said, now you can get in trouble with that paper if some tape. And I kept it, and I just held on to that little brown piece of paper. And every time I would get discouraged, I would go back to that paper and say, if this all I need, then I got that much. This all she said, I got that much. So as I finally got released from prison, my thoughts would always be with those that I left behind. And to this day, they still lives with me. But as I was riding down St. Charles Street, I thought about freedom, liberation, second chances, love, freedom, and above all, God, and how He's able. And we have to practice, like Caroline said, practice that He is omnipresent. He is in us. And when we're doing our acts, we got to remember that it's God in us. And if we're going to do things, we got to do it in a God-like fashion. Like, let God be the leader. Ask God to order our footsteps every day. And so, liberation for me is fighting for those who can't fight for themselves, using my voice to speak for those who can't speak for themselves, those that you never get to hear. And that was why I came up with the book, Dear President Obama, because as he know my story, I know his story, he never knew mine. And I wanted the world to know what women go through when we talk about incarceration. But I still want to give them hope. You know, I started my time in 1993. And even when my story began, God had always had me protected, but I didn't see that. All I saw was I was in prison. I didn't know that He had me in the palm of His hand the whole entire time. People would tell me all the time, girl, you ain't gonna never get out here. I had one officer told me I used to write to anybody. I knew when I was in prison, I would write to anybody who would respond. And one time I wrote to CNN. A lady, well, she was looking for the name, how to spell Danielle, different ways to spell it, and she came across my story. Her name was Odessa Swine. And she wrote back and she said, wow, I saw your story, I can't believe you got that much time. And I said, yeah, so we started corresponding. And as we started corresponding, she told me that her dad worked in CNN and worked there for years, and that Nancy Grace was her dad's best friend. I said, oh Lord, I ain't gonna never get out of that Nancy Grace. I said, not Nancy Grace. And so we started communicating. So, you know, at meal call, that's when you feel like you're not forgotten. Everybody go to meal call, but a lot of people don't get meals or letters or anything like that. So when they came back, they had CNN, and underneath that, they had the letterhead say CNN, underneath that it says, on a return address, Odessa Swine. And so the officer, he handed me my meal. And I was so excited because, you know, I'm like, CNN, that's a big deal. So I said, thank you, Officer Brown. And he said, here your meal is. I said, I'm gonna be going home soon. He said, girl, the only way you're going out of here is in a body bag. And I said, okay. And he crushed my spirit. He really did, but I know that's what he was trying to do anyway. Because that's the worst thing you could say to anybody. Even if I was in prison, I didn't want to be in a body bag under those circumstances. And so I said, okay, I went to my room and I cried and I thought about it. I said, you know what? He don't know what he's talking about. So the next day, I went to my post. And I was the clerk for a landscape. I had 23 years I was in the same prison. So I worked multiple jobs. I worked over here, I worked over there. I know the time the officers come, I know the time they go home, I knew who was on what shift, I knew all those things. So when I went in there, my boss, my foreman, she saw me every morning. We would listen to gospel songs. And she would play whatever I wanted to hear before our day got started. And I told her to play, oh, if I had wings like a bird, I could fly away. And when she saw the tears in my eyes, and she looked, she said, boo, that's what they call me. She said, what's wrong with you? I said, nothing. And she said, oh no, something happened. What's wrong? And I said, oh, ain't nothing wrong. Then I said, Miss Simmons, you know what? I said, you know what Mr. Cadero said to me? He told me I'm gonna go home in a body bag. And she said, what he said to you? And I said, yeah. Now she's an officer, and I know her job. She's gonna do whatever BOP policy says, because that's the type of person she is. She's not gonna bend the rules for nobody. Not me, not gonna give me a piece of chicken, not gonna give me a piece of candy. She always say, boy, I'm not losing my good government job. You're gonna get these shrimps and candy and all that stuff, but you're not gonna eat it on my watch. And I said, okay. But she looked out for me in other ways. So when she said, Church, play the radio, tell the crew get ready, we about to go on the yard, do the landscape. She said, I'll be right back. And when she came back, she said, we're not gonna have that problem again. And I said, huh? She said, I'll straighten that out. Don't worry about that. And she said, do you know that I'm not gonna leave this place until you be free? I said, you gonna stay here all that time for me? She said, no, I'm just gonna stay here with you. She said, I ain't staying here for you. But she's still working in the BOP today. But she gave me that scenario to give me hope, to know that I was not forgotten, even though I'm wearing this kind of uniform. I see the humanity in you. I see that you're a person. And I know that God, if he could do it for me, he could do it for you. Because although she was awful, sometimes she'll come in there crying too. And I'd be like, well, what's wrong with you? And she'd be like, oh, ain't nothing wrong with me, I'm good. But you know, that just shows you that it doesn't matter what side of the world we on or where we at in the world. That God is God all over the world. He the same God. And we have to start looking at it like God is in us. And what would Jesus do? You know how they say WWJD? What would Jesus do? So, you know, I just want people to know that the work that we do, these are my fellow co-workers over here in this corner, and along with Miss Caroline, and you know, when I think about New Orleans and the consciousness that it's coming to, you know, I like to see our people woke. When we start thinking about these laws, and you don't have to vote for who I vote for. You don't have to have the same beliefs that I have. But we got to remember, God is God. All by himself. All by himself. Well, I say that because it's a lot of work to be done out here in society. Every day. Not just the kind of work that I do, but if it's no more than just picking somebody up. Some days I put people in my car, I don't even know who they are. I just say, you going downtown because it's hot outside. And I'm like, you going to Canal? I said, get in. She said, are you serious? I said, yeah, I've been. My friend, she's homeless. Every day I buy 48 bottles of water. And I put it in there and freeze it. And when I go down on Aretha Cassidy, I give it out to the people. I say, here. And so one of the ladies, my friend who I called my friend, I said, what you need tonight? I said, I'm about to go in. And she said, just give me some off. Go to Home Depot, give me some off so I can spray my body. While the mosquitoes won't bite me up. I said, that's all you need. She said, I got my money. I said, oh no, you ain't got to pay, I got you. She said, you sure? I said, yeah, I got you. And I go get that for her. But I do all that because I know that God is real, what he's done for me. I don't take it for granted. Every day I'm reminded about my friends that are still in there that call me back to back. And some of them that aren't my friends, still back to back. But I just want to say that we have to think about forgiveness, reconciliation, second chances, liberation, freedom, and above all, God and love. And when we say we love a person, love is an action word. And we know that they say, you know a person by the fruits, right? So we should know who we are by the things that we do. You know, I have friends that fight every day for something that's important to them. And that's what made me want to write that book, because of the women that America has forgotten. Everybody in prison is not a terrible person. Some people are innocent in prison. One of my friends, she was innocent, she was pregnant. And she had to carry that baby for 9 months. And milk was still coming out of her breast. And she couldn't even bind with her child. The child had to go one place, and she had to come back to prison. But eventually she got out of prison. But I thought about that. I said, how could she still smile? She had a life sentence also. And I said, how could she still be smiling? But she still was smiling. And when I saw that, I saw God in her. Because she had hope that she was going to get out there. And she did. So, okay, so real freedom isn't just walking out of prison. It's walking into purpose. It's forgiving those who hurt us. It's choosing hope over despair. It's believing that our past does not have the final word. And what is keeping me from walking fully in freedom God has already given me? And how can I experience freedom from with this week? Because liberation isn't only about us. It's about helping others and someone else discover who they are too. So I'll leave you with this thought. Freedom opens doors. Liberation gives you courage to walk through it and become who you was always intended to be. I thank you. I appreciate you. I love meeting new people. If y'all see me on the street or somewhere, y'all might say, oh, that's Danielle. Because I love people. I always love people. You know, my mom used to say, I wasn't happy till somebody was making a fool out of me. That's what she would always tell me. She said, you think she mad? She happy. She said she loved that. But that's what I do. And even now, you know, me coming back, for those of y'all who probably have saw Commuted, it's on YouTube. You can look it up. You know, me and my son, we have a strained relationship sometimes, because he always say, how can you still want to love people after all you've been through? I said, and I get mad when people say I've been through something, because I be like, I ain't been through all that. And she said, yeah, you've been through a lot. And just like Caroline said, I said, now why is she saying all that? But it's the truth. It's the truth. But I don't look at it as my circumstance. I look at what God has done for me and how he has liberated me, gave me freedom, and I'm going to walk into my purpose here, today, and every day. And if you hear me say I had 3 life sentences, it's only because when I was doing those 23 years, almost 24 years, I couldn't even bring myself to say that. Every time I say it, I get sick of my stomach. I choke. My stomach started hurting. I feel like I'm a vomit. It was sickening to me. And I was like, but now I know I'm healing. I can say it now. It was hard. Before, when I was in there with different girls and different women, and they would talk about their time, and we'd be in a circle. Before it got to me, I hurry up and act like I had to go to the bathroom. I said, I ain't about to say that. But I can say it now, because I know when I say it, I'm representing God and giving him all the glory. Not some of it, but all the glory. And if you're in a physical prison, because sometimes we mostly are imprisoned by those invisible chains that we don't see. God is able to deliver you too. Just put your trust in him, put your hand in him, and believe me, he's going to do the same thing he's done for me. He's going to do it for you. Thank you.
Let's give another hand for Danielle Metz. Thank you for that moving message. Now it's time for our ties extend a warm welcome to anyone that's new to Unity of New Orleans. Is there anyone that's new here that would like to stand up and introduce themselves and maybe say how you heard about Unity?
Well, they might be a little shy, but I want to ask them to stand up. This is Rise Collective. These are two of my friends. They are attorneys. They fight every day, like I was talking about. And I have one other person in the restroom, and this is Rise Collective. Oh, and Miss Darlene, she said, "Ray, this another one." Miss Darlene. I saw her walk in the day, I said, "Oh, well, how she got here?" But you know, this is Miss Darlene, you might see her all over, and it's another freedom fighter.
I'm so glad that each of you are here today. So we have a lot of things going on here at Unity. So for our announcements, if you'd like to contribute electronically, you can do so in the lobby. You can scan the QR code, and you can also always donate on our website. While if you're online, you can also subscribe to our Unity channel on YouTube and like us on Facebook. Today's service will be available on YouTube tomorrow. Also, in case you didn't know, Unity has a newsletter that comes out every Thursday. It's full of news about upcoming events, classes, announcements, and a link to our weekly services. If you'd like to get that newsletter, you can sign up at the front desk. The Women of Unity Ministry is something new here at Unity. This is a space for women in our community to resonate, attune, and embrace our divine femininity. If you or someone you know is interested in joining this sacred group, we welcome you. Please speak to us after the service for more information. We have community support groups here at Unity of New Orleans. We have an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting that meets every Tuesday at 5 p.m. It's an open meeting, so all are welcome. We also have a virtual Course of Miracles study group that meets on Zoom every Thursday meeting, and the details are in the newsletter. So today, immediately following the service, we have prayer chaplains available to pray with you right here in the sanctuary, right here. They'll meet with you in prayer about any of your needs in complete confidentiality. We encourage you to let us pray with you, and those of us who are not meeting with a prayer chaplain, kindly leave the sanctuary after the service and you can go to the family room or the lobby. Also, Unity of New Orleans is starting a men's group. This will be a sacred opportunity to gather with community for spiritual development, fellowship, and service. Sunday, September 13th, after the service, this will be the first meeting. If you or anyone you know is interested, please see Calvin Johnson or check the newsletter. He's not here today. Also, on Saturday, September 12th, there will be something new and exciting here. A dream metaphysics workshop facilitated by Reverend Stephen Fleming. Come learn about how dreams are divine communication and how you can become fluent in the language of dreams that your higher self has been speaking all along. There is more detailed information in the newsletter, and you may also speak to us after the service if you're interested. Also, Reverend Fleming is returning from sabbatical. He will be speaking